Welcome in, everybody. Welcome into Red, White, and Bills. Coming to you from the new studio. I'm no longer at my kitchen table, so that's a huge positive. I'm really happy to be actually in my own space, and I can have this office how I like it and bring more content to you guys. So let's get into it. It's the post game show, New England Patriots, Buffalo Bills, Monday Night Football, probably the biggest game of the year, and then what do you know? Terrible, terrible weather hits, and we all expect a terrible, boring game, low scoring, and that's kind of what we got. We got a 14-10 loss to the New England Patriots, who are now the sole possession of the AFC East, and they're the one seed in the AFC. So, right now we're sitting at 7-5, and I see a lot of us Bills Mafia getting down in the dumps about this, but with 5 games left, there's still a lot that can happen. But it wasn't a pretty game. New England basically just ran the ball every time, and we had no answer for it. However, we did make some pretty good stops. We blew a couple runs. It was a lot of arm tackling again, and I thought that was over with after the Colts game. But it reared its ugly head again in this game, and when you got big backs, and even any back, you can't arm tackle anybody, especially in the pro level. I see this every time. You learn that at the lowest level not to arm tackle. And these are professionals. And I just don't understand how the coaches isn't in their ear saying, "What are you doing? Why are you arm tackling?" It's an easy fix. Just wrap up and be tough. Don't just try to tackle. Ooh, he's running by. Ooh, it's not gonna do anything, And that was a big problem in this game, especially when it was so run heavy, And certain people didn't show out. At Oliver he had a quiet game. He didn't do much. Star didn't do much. Edmonds over pursued a lot. Milano over pursued a lot, even though he made 2 really good tackle for a loss. And the broadcast, it was in the fourth quarter. The broadcast team mentioned how in the commercial break, McDermott was talking to him the whole entire time, telling him what to do. Oh, as soon as the guard pulls, hit the gap and get the running back. Why did it take to the fourth quarter? Why did it take to the fourth quarter to make that adjustment to tell him? And why did you even have to tell him? That's the other thing. It's like these guys are professionals. They should know this stuff. And now that we're on the topic of adjustment, that was basically the only adjustment that I could notice in game, and that's a problem. Especially things change drastically throughout games. You have to make in-game adjustments. And coach from the start of the game with making McKenzie and Stevenson inactive, I was just scratching my head, calling my friend saying, "Did you see that they made them both inactive?" And it didn't make sense to me, and that was just the first thing where I was just like, "Oh, this is a weird situation right now." And then you go from that to Coach McDermott with some of his time management. There was one play where the play clock was running down, and he waits till the last second, calls a timeout. Why would you just not call a timeout anyway before, so you don't waste the clock? Like if that was your main objective was to call a timeout, just call it then. Oh, and then, of course, you're down 14-10, and this might be your last possession, and you think, oh, you know what? We're pretty close to the end for the first down in the end zone. Let's just kick a field goal and hope that we get the ball back. But in a game like this, you get the win coming at you. I know Bass is a great kicker. We love Bass, but we love McDermott also. But in that situation, you have to go for the win because you don't know if you're going to get the ball back. Because New England could have easily ran the ball for 7 minutes and won the game just off of that. And if you apply pressure, you get the touchdown there at 17-14 with 6 minutes left. You apply pressure, and New England has to score. While the defense has been pretty solid all night, minus those couple big runs and that touchdown to Damian Harris. So at that point, you got to apply pressure. Why last year he was very aggressive in situations like that. We saw it in the Tennessee game. It didn't work out for us. And then it's a game of you have to go for it on 4th and short and 4-down territory, and that's where we were. And he thought now was a good time to kick a field goal. And yeah, if Bass made that, it would have worked out great because then we did get him a 3-and-out, and because they decided to pass for some reason, just quick 3-and-out, we got the ball back. We drove down the field, of course, and on that 4th and 14 that ended up being an incomplete pass, could have been a field goal opportunity. We could have been leading 16-14 with 2 minutes left. So, yeah, and that challenge, a lot of people bring that up. I understand why you guys are upset that he challenged and wasted a timeout, but I also understand why he did it, because if he saw what I saw, he was down clearly, the whistle was blowing, and then he continued to move while the whistle was blowing, and then as soon as he fell over the first down mark, then they signaled first down. As soon as the whistle blows, the play's done. So if you didn't see him over the first down marker at that point, it's over. And, it wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. So I get that being mad about that, but it definitely, he was short. So I understand what McDermott was thinking, but we seem to have a clear issue with coaching decisions, time management, play calling. For example, Leslie Frazier, he says the other day against the Colts, we didn't even think about coming out of the 4-2 nickel for this game. And then this game, we run the base 4-3, and they don't switch out of that either. They don't try, back to the nickel. They don't try 5 defensive linemen. They don't try anything different. And Patriots are just like, okay, it's going to run. And that's, you got to adjust. And I've mentioned this multiple times. Coordinators are stubborn. They want to stick to their game plan. They think it's going to work. They'll live and die on the hill that it's going to work. And it's like they're afraid to make adjustments for some reason when you need to adjust. And you got Brian Daboll, who we're driving down the field with short passes and that nice catch by Diggs. And then we get in the red zone. Oh, let's run up the middle again for no gain with Moss. It just blows my mind. I don't know what he's thinking in these times. It hasn't worked. And to be honest, it didn't work the whole day. We ran up the middle basically every single time. And except for that one Singletary run that was 17 yards, which was nice. But Godshaw, the Patriots defensive tackle, led his team in tackles with 10. There's no reason in the NFL especially that a D tackle should be leading your team in tackles. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you that we have a very boring run game. We can't block in the run game, and we just run up the middle every time and hope for the best. And it clearly hasn't worked. And it was just so many things that I didn't like, so many things that we should be concerned about. And with 5 games left and you're going against the defending champs next week in Tampa, we may be, depending on who wins and loses other games, we could probably afford one more loss. If we get 2 losses, we'll be hoping other people lose. So it's that tight of a race right now in the playoffs. So you can't be blowing these games just down the stretch right now. We're supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team, and we got to play like it. Josh Allen had no help. He had to throw the ball beautiful every time to get through that wind. And, unfortunately, Stephon Diggs didn't track that ball well, and it was a perfect pass, and that could have been a touchdown. Dawson Knox had a few drops. Sanders had a drop go through his hands, and, at that time, it just... You gotta, if Allen's doing everything he can, you have to help him. And the other thing about Daboll, I'm gonna go back to Daboll. All year we're like, why are you running Allen so much? Why are you putting him in harm's way so much? And this is the game that we actually wanted it, and we needed it. There was no design runs for Allen, and it's at that point it's just you decide to do it every other game. But now when you think, the running game's not working, we can't throw in the wind all the time. Let's get Allen on the run a little bit. And he did. And he did on his own, not design. He did on his own when a play broke down and got a good chunk of yards. Try that sometime. Do something different. Do a counter, a misdirection, a trap. Do anything besides just run up the middle with your running backs who, again, we don't have a great offensive line run blocking, even pass blocking also. And we don't have the running backs to just run up the middle. We don't have Jonathan Taylor. We don't have Damian Harris. We don't have Derrick Henry. You need to do other things to supplement that, end arounds, jet sweeps, but we got none of that. We barely got any motion, and there was nothing creative. And it was just, let's just keep doing this, and eventually it'll work. And now we're 7-5, so it's just not what we need to be getting from our coaches right now. Yeah, players missed on execution a couple times. Dawson Knox dropped one in the end zone at the end of the game. Diggs dropped that one, and Allen missed Beasley in the last play of the game. He was wide open, and he went for Davis in the end zone. It was just a good play by the defense, and but it starts with coaching, and someone needs to be accountable, and got to have some tough conversations this week if you're the coaching staff. But let's get into some stats. Now, Allen was 15 for 30, 145 yards and a touchdown. He also added 6 carries for 39 yards. Again, none of them were design carries, but you look at that, and I'm sure a lot of media will be like, oh, he was 50%, he was terrible, he couldn't put his team on his back. He did put his team on his back. I don't know one quarterback in the league who can make those throws in those weather conditions and have that stat line. Yeah, it doesn't look pretty, but what he had to do to get that, it was probably the toughest conditions anyone could play in, and I gotta give him a lot of credit for that. I thought he played absolutely amazing for considering the conditions. But when he's got to do more to get through the elements. But then the receivers and the running backs and the line has to help too. And then when you're dropping passes, you're not being physical. You just run up the middle every time, and you're not using your vision. Like one play, Moss, it was in the red zone, that one play that went for no gain. If he just looked, he had the outside wide open for him, and he took it inside and got creamed for no gain. So, it was just Allen needed help in that situation. You can't put it all on his back. The defense played great besides a couple big runs. Yeah, they ran 222 yards on us, but they ran the ball 49 times, and they had a 64-yard run. So I know I don't believe in take that away and then you got this, but even with that long run, they did a great job. I mean, playing run defense every play is tough, and especially when we have a rotation of defensive linemen, and they didn't play too bad, but the main reason why the run game really killed us was over pursuing in the back seven. Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Dane Jackson, Levi Wallace. All of them had arm tackles. They all over pursued, and they all got sucked in. And then that's a perfect recipe for a good offensive line and a running back who has good vision. And they took advantage of it. And they got to get to the film. Bills got to get to the film and really clean that up, especially going against a guy like Leonard Fournette next week. But let's get into some stats. Oh, we already started the stats, but I got sidetracked. So overall, I thought Allen had a pretty good day. What more could we have asked for him in that condition? I know people that were at the game, it was absolutely awful. So I thought Allen had a great game and deserved some respect for playing in that and doing all he could. And then we go to the run game. Besides Allen, Matt Breida had 1 carry for 3 yards, and he fumbled and didn't get another chance. I probably would have gave him a couple more chances, but I understand it was a really costly turnover. It led to 8 points. But, I mean, he's your speed element, and he's been doing well for you the last couple of games, and then you just take the ball out of his hand. Moss was 8 for 21. He had a couple nice runs, a couple nice hard runs. But then he also had a couple bad runs that cancels it out, at this point in time, because he could have been the unsung hero of the game if he just had good vision and bumped it outside and got in the end zone. Motor was 10 for 36. He had that nice long 17 run. But overall, the run game wasn't anything spectacular. We still can't run block. We're trying to force the run. It's not working. I thought there was more situations where we could have passed and we decided to run, but Dayball didn't have his best game. Receiving wise, Davis was 2 for 30 and a touchdown. It was a beautiful play off that turnover on the special teams. Allen fired it into Gabe Davis, and it was just amazing to watch. It was the tightest window. Davis with a great catch, touchdown, made it 8-7. Davis was 4 for 51. Could have had 5 for 100 and a touchdown if he caught that ball. It's tough because, Diggs is the alpha dog. Diggs is the best player on our team besides Josh Allen, and he's one of the best receivers in the league. He's elite, and 9 times out of 10 he catches that, and unfortunately he just mistracked it because of the wind, and it got away from him. Sanders was 3 for 22, had a couple nice catches. And when we get into defense, there's going to be a couple names that you probably aren't expecting and you haven't heard much, especially from me. But the people I got notable for defense starts with Tyrol Dodson. He hasn't had significant playing time this year, but when we ran the 4-3, he came in because AJ Klein was on the COVID reserve list, and he had 5 tackles. And yeah, that's not flashy, but the 5 tackles he made, he was actually wrapping up and hitting hard, and he was in the right spot at the right time. And I thought for coming off the bench in a big game, I thought he played pretty well. This next guy was my MVP for the whole game, was Harrison Phillips. he had a career game, 7 tackles, and that was incredible for a D tackle, 7 tackles, especially we all know after his injury in 2019, he hasn't been the same. And I'm pretty sure he's playing on a torn MCL right now. So he's got the grit, he's got the toughness, he's got the heart, he's got the drive and the motivation to do well. And you see it every time he plays, but sometimes he just lacks. But yesterday, he really showed out, 7 tackles, and I was very happy to see that from him. Hopefully that's a good sign of trending upward, because I think he could be a heck of a player. And then I mentioned Jordan Poyer because he had 8 tackles, but he also missed a lot of tackles and arm tackled, over pursued, but he still made some good plays. And then Dane Jackson, I'm going to throw him in there because, he got thrown around a lot because they would throw out a lineman on him. Of course, he's not going to be able to shake that too well. But 5 tackles, and he had to pass defense, and they tested him, and then he made an outstanding play on defense. And next week he'll be tested a lot more than he was yesterday. Going against Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronkowski. But for his first game filling in for Trey White, his specialty was run support, and I thought he did pretty well. I know he had some missed tackles and arm tackles, but overall I thought he did pretty well. Listen, guys, Bills Mafia, we got a good team here. We got a potential to make a huge run. I know it doesn't look it right now. I know we're 7-5, and one more loss could set us back into the hunt. However, all that matters is getting hot at the right time. Yeah, you can say, oh, well, it's December. You want to get hot now. But it's not too late to turn the page. We haven't won 2 games in a row in a long time. If we go into Tampa Bay next week and we get a win there, then you got Carolina at home, and then you got the Patriots again in New England. You can get a 2-game win streak, and then you can fight for the division. Who knows? So there's a lot of football left. We have a lot to be happy for with this team. Of course, there's a lot of question marks, and we're hoping that the coaches can address it. We're hoping the coaches can fix themselves, because it starts with them, and we're hoping the players can execute. I saw something today. It was in one-score games. Last year we were 5-1, and this year we're 0-4. And like me and my buddies were talking, last year we win these games, and for some reason this year it's just not working out. I mean, it seems like the line has taken a step back this year, and I think that's another big thing with our red zone troubles, because it just seems like every time we get an opportunity, the line crumbles and we can't get a good opportunity. But like I said, Bills Mafia, we got a lot to be happy for. We still got an elite quarterback, elite wide receivers, an elite defense, a top 3 defense. So we got a chance to stay strong, stay faithful, stay loyal to the Bills. We got this. And thank you for following my channel, subscribing to the channel, liking and sharing the videos. I appreciate all the love. I can't thank you guys enough. I cannot do this without you. Stay tuned. We got more content coming up this week. I'm going to see if I can get another collab with my buddies from Bills Bouncer and Buffalo Bills Report. We got a lot of things planned coming up in the future. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Until then, go Bills.